So Chennedy Carter is a player for nobody right now. Absolutely nobody. She is not playing basketball, and we've now got a situation where we've got one of the 15 best players in the world just not in the league.
Chennedy Carter was just subjected to the most chilly move in professional sports.
The Chicago Sky finally replaced Chennedy Carter with Ariel Atkins, and I am using this as my opportunity to extend an olive branch to the Chennedy Carter Brigade. The Ken folk, I believe you guys call yourself. I am taking this as an opportunity to reach out my hand and say greetings.
After spending the entire season making headlines for all the wrong reasons, including cheap shots, unnecessary side eyes, and going out of her way to be Caitlin Clark's on-court antagonist, Carter finally received a reality check in Chicago that was hotter than a mid-July afternoon. To be honest, it took a while for her to be on the sidelines, and Chicago didn't just show her the door. They essentially slammed it shut and nailed it closed.
Atkins is a good guard. She's a solid player. But they had Chennedy Carter that they chose to not re-sign, who was one of the most explosive shooting guards in the league. I put her around 2 or 3. I mean, I'm right now playing with Caitlin Clark. I give Kelsey Mitchell the edge. Right now, I think Chennedy Carter is a better shooting guard than, say, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Plum. So, I mean, she's right up there.
Enter Carter is left wondering where her WNBA future lies, whereas Ariel Atkins, a well-respected high IQ player, knows how to contribute without causing needless fuss. The fans are split. Some are celebrating like Chicago just won a championship, while Carter's devoted followers are calling foul, acting as though this was the biggest injustice since WNBA officials began ignoring Caitlin Clark's obvious fouls. The Sky has already moved on, wasting no time in finding someone who genuinely adds value to the team.
Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Chennedy Carter.
However, let's face it, Chicago made their position quite apparent. The directest thing they can do is to make sure there was no room for interpretation by bringing in an experienced player before Carter could even attempt to compete for her job. They didn't just quietly break ways with Carter.
Do you have any regrets on how it happened and everything that's happened since then? I don't have any regrets with anything. I'm going to compete and play 100% hard no matter who it is, like I said, or who we're playing. No, I don't have any.
And can anyone be shocked, really? Although some fans enjoyed the drama, WNBA franchises aren't casting for a reality show. They're trying to win basketball games. Carter spent the season playing the villain rather than working to improve her team. Her needless antics and lack of professionalism ultimately caught up with her.
It's a mad one for me, because I'm like, this is, if this was a year ago, fair enough. But like, the Sky were willing to take her in. And look, I get it, maybe she wasn't the greatest in the locker room, but she was really good at basketball.
While Carter's diehard fans are out there protesting, the truth is that if you can't be a team player, you won't have a team for long. The Sky saw an opportunity to bolster their roster and remove unnecessary distractions, and they seized it. No hard feelings, it's just business. Meanwhile, Atkins enters Chicago with no baggage and all the right intangibles. She's the kind of player who elevates a team without causing controversy. She plays hard, plays smart, and imagine this, she actually respects the game.
At first glance, the Chicago Sky trading the number 3 pick in the draft to the Mystics for Ariel Atkins could feel like a little bit of a desperate move, right? Chicago desperate to compete right now with Angel Reese after her rookie season. Of course, Camila Cardoso's rookie season as well. So I get that, and it's a nice rebuilding move by the Mystics.
The real question now is what Chennedy Carter's future holds because, let's face it, there isn't exactly a long line of WNBA teams vying for her services. Although she is technically a free agent, that doesn't mean much if no team wants to take a chance on her following the controversy she caused last season. Being a professional athlete is about more than just skill. It's also about attitude, discipline, and realizing that basketball is a team sport, not a one-woman show. At the moment, she looks more like the player everyone avoids picking in a pickup game, and unless she does some serious damage control, this could be the abrupt end of her WNBA career.
Due to Carter's behavior, which apparently went unchecked by former coach Teresa Weatherspoon. There was concern within the team regarding how re-signing Carter would impact the Sky's chances of landing other free agents. And likely this was a joint decision that was made between the GM and the new head coach, Tyler Marsh.
With Ariel Atkins in place and a renewed emphasis on winning, Chicago is moving on from the past. Carter, on the other hand, is left wondering where it all went wrong. Spoiler alert. It wasn't just one thing, it was a season's worth of bad choices. Chennedy, after spending the season trying to make Caitlin Clark her personal punching bag both literally and figuratively, Carter not only lost her roster spot, but also turned herself into an untouchable free agent, with no team willing to take a chance on her. Now, she faces an uncertain offseason rather than getting ready for the 2025 WNBA season, staring at an empty schedule, and it's unbelievable to think that everything could have turned out so differently.
What little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. That's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
Perhaps she wouldn't be in this mess if she had concentrated on her game rather than trying to make a statement at Clark's expense. Instead, Carter fully embraced the villain role, taking cheap shots, refusing to show respect, and acting as though Clark was just another overhyped rookie. Now, rather than protecting Clark on the court, she will be watching her from home with a phone in one hand and scrolling through WNBA highlights that no longer include her.
She turned to you a little bit after the Fever
I
score.
didn't answer no Caitlin Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
The worst thing is that this decline was completely preventable. Sports are full of rivalries, but the best players always understood the difference between being competitive and being detrimental to themselves. Carter, though, went too far. She carried that same aggression during games. She has put reckless effort into interviews, social media, and every public encounter. And now that no team is ready to give her another chance, she is being brutally shown what happens when you put pettiness before professionalism.
All I see, they try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
The ultimate irony, while Carter deals with the silence of a non-ringing phone, Caitlin Clark, the player he attempted to disparage and degrade throughout the season, is thriving. She is not only firmly established as the biggest star in the NBA, but she is also breaking records, obtaining significant endorsements, and getting ready for what could be an MVP-caliber season. Clark is preparing to step up her game even more.
And that's what Caitlin Clark has done. Caitlin Clark has changed the industry. She is bigger than the WNBA. There is not a player in the NBA right now who could come in and be bigger than the NBA. For what it's worth, LeBron James at 40 is not bigger than the NBA. When LeBron James retires, we won't blink. I'm being real. People will not blink. They'll keep watching.
Carter's options are now very limited because the WNBA isn't interested in her. She has two options: either take her skills abroad or stop playing the game altogether. Let's face it, once a player leaves the WNBA, there's never a guarantee that they'll return, and Carter's reputation isn't exactly screaming second chance. This isn't just a minor career setback, it's one of the biggest self-inflicted collapses in recent memory. She had the talent and the opportunity, but she let it all slip away because she was too focused on tearing someone else down rather than building herself up. Now that the league has made it clear that there is no room for that nonsense, so while Caitlin Clark is out there making history and dropping dimes, Carter will be left to reflect and hopefully learn the hard truth. Respect matters. Character is what keeps doors open. Talent alone can only open them. Unfortunately for Carter, she might have permanently closed them.
To the games, even just when we were trying to make the playoffs, it was a hard fight. Y'all know
I went down. I had a foot injury, which cost a lot of games at the end of the season. We ended up losing to Washington. I didn't play. We lost to Indiana. I didn't play that game. I missed a couple of games to where, maybe if we had our whole lineup, we could have had a better outcome. But like, as far as like that, there's a lot of just narratives being spent. And from my standpoint, I had a great time, and this was one of the best seasons that I ever had in my career. And I'm not going to allow anybody to downplay it like it went bad, because it didn't go bad. It was the best season that I've had in my life, shooting wise, playing wise, living wise. Like, it was a great experience for me personally.
Chicago, let's slow down for a moment. Sure, the Sky may be getting better, but they have a huge obstacle in the form of the Indiana fever. And you know what that means. Sky fans are acting like they just put together a super team overnight, and the championship parade is already planned with confetti manners and Angel Reese in the mix. The season's first game is already scheduled, and Caitlin Clark will soon be making an appearance. Chicago can bring in as many new players as they like, but none of them have the ability to change the game. Clark's ability to make defenders appear to be playing in slow motion and his deadly three-point shooting are still unrivaled by court vision.
Such an incredible moment on a global scale for our game, for our players.
It's like the fans are absolutely incredible. It's the same when we go on the road. Like, there's so many people that are showing up in fever gear. It's really affecting, teams all across our league, which is a really great thing. And, really, I think we're just scratching the surface.
And let's not...
The Clark-Ree rivalry is back, and the basketball gods made sure that this meeting would come early and frequently, 5 times this season, to be exact, because their college and rookie year battles were must-watch TV. Now that the stakes are higher, the stakes are even higher. The WNBA is under more scrutiny and has more talent than ever before.
I knew then her future was not going to be very bright, bruh. Now, a lot of people was kind of surprised by this. I'm not, because I know, you know what I'm saying? What she did to Caitlin Clark was completely unnecessary. And I'm here to tell you guys, she's living with that decision today because she is without a job.
Chicago supporters can talk all they want about going deep in the playoffs, but they must first overcome Caitlin Clark, and if history is any indication, that's not an easy task. Reality is about to hit Sky fans harder than a deep three from Clark, and they're acting as though they've suddenly figured out some secret championship formula. Newsflash. One signing doesn't make up for the team's struggles from the previous season, but let them dream. These are the same fans who swore that Angel Reese would dominate Caitlin Clark, so yes, that takes time like spoiled milk while Clark was out there smashing defenses and setting records. Let's not pretend that it was even close, even though Reese was pounding.
Are taking this young, talented core that they have, with Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, and they're adding veteran players that Stephanie White has already worked with.
And now these same fans believe the Sky are a totally different squad only because they recruited a reliable veteran in Atkins. That is an extreme form of illusion. Although Ariel Atkins is a fantastic player who contributes leadership, scoring prowess, and defensive intensity, let's face it, she is not a miracle worker. There are still obvious problems, Chicago. For some reason, Sky fans are out here acting like they created a dynasty overnight, while Caitlin Clark is probably laughing while getting up extra shots in the gym that first game of the season against Chicago. Oh, she's already marking that date on her calendar because she remembers the noise from last year. Their chemistry is still a work in progress, and their depth isn't intimidating anyone. Their ability to compete with top-tier teams is still a huge question mark.